Morning, I'm Don Taylor, I'm the county board chair. I'm just gonna run the chair election portion of this meeting. As the chair of previous chair of this committee, Norm Bickford, has retired, and Conrad is the we're getting other people in here.
It's you.
Pete?
Probably delayed on mine.
Good and Rick.
Start over, don't forget to call it to order and open meeting.
Yes.
You know.
I haven't got that yet. Are we good? Maybe, okay. Anyway, we'll call the meeting to order. I found that notice was posted in accordance with Wisconsin statutes for open meeting laws. And at this point, we will open the nominations for chair of the land use committee.
I'd like to nominate Craig Conroy.
We have a nomination for Craig Conroy. Are there any other nominations? There being no other nominations, could I get a motion to close nominations and cast unanimous ballot? Motion by Mr. Blomberg, second. By Mr. Szymanski. Anything further? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Congratulations, Mr. Conroy, yours.
Or condolences perhaps, right? In any event, thank you. I appreciate the faith of the committee in handing me this assignment. And I would now entertain a motion for nomination for vice chair. And hearing none, I would nominate Karen Lacqua Anderson. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Entertain a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot.
So move. Second.
Motion by Supervisor Szymanski, seconded by Supervisor Anderson, who is not a relative. Supervisor Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
I entertain a motion or a nomination, I should say, for secretary of this committee.
Nominate.
Chuck Anderson.
Are you in favor, or would you rather decline?
I'll decline in favor of my nomination for Brett.
I'll decline as well. You know, I've served as vice chair and secretary, and I want to give the opportunity to someone.
I'll kick over this.
Somebody else.
I'd like to
I'll accept.
nominate Randy Szymanski. Or did you accept nomination?
Yes.
Okay, never. Okay, any other further nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? There being no further nominations, I entertain a motion to close nominations.
Motion to close nomination.
Second.
Karen,
Done.
seconded?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, pardon?
The two.
We're good. We're good with the fun stuff is over now. Now we have a public comment section. You folks are here for conditional use permit or rezoning applications on the agenda, correct? So we have no public comment. I think in that case, I'm gonna change what I had originally said. Randy Szymanski was at the BOA hearing on the appeal for the solar facility in Webb Lake. And it's not on the agenda, but I think as part of a public comment, if you wanted to make a brief report about that, now would be a good time to do that.
Yeah, I just, it was interesting. I did take some notes during the meeting, and I just thought it'd be interesting to share these with the committee. There's quite a bit of what I would call misinformation flying around. And mostly I just thought these would be good. To know what, it would be good for the committee to know what happened, and then maybe have a discussion about, was there anything that happened that we should change going forward in terms of our procedures or making a note of, or things like that. So, most of the comments you're seeing there, or probably all of them, are from the legal representation for the town of Webb Lake. I don't know his last name. First name is Anders Elquist. And, you know, so these are things that came up. And the reason that I took notes is kind of felt like he was attacking the committee for doing a poor job, which I didn't agree with. I didn't say that in the meeting, but I thought, well, at least I'll take some notes and share them with the committee and we can just kind of discuss them. We can discuss these today or discuss them next month or after people have a chance to kind of look through them or whatever you want to do.
I think if we were gonna do anything that demanded action, we would need to have it on the agenda, but I think maybe we can discuss it a little bit at the end of the meeting when Jason goes through what has happened with other activities. But in no case are we gonna take any action on it. I would say this is pretty normal. When somebody is contesting an action by this committee or the BOA for that matter, there's all kinds of stuff thrown at the wall. And you just, you know, it's part of what we get the big bucks for doing this for. So, but with that, if anybody else have any further comments? So, and then
Most of this is directed at the Land Use and Information Committee, not at,
the BOA, right?
not at ours.
But that's because they were trying to have the BOA reverse it or remand it back to us, which they did not do because they had the record. And Jason could explain that further, but they had everything we did in 2 meetings. And I think the point might be that in our second, we did not have 2 separate meetings. We continued it to the second meeting to get some conditions offered by the applicant, because we didn't feel qualified to make those conditions ourselves. And so much of what we covered in the first meeting, we did not cover in the first part of the meeting, I should say. But it isn't that we didn't cover it. Looking only at the continuation of the meeting, maybe that you could make that argument, but that was not what happened really, in my opinion. So.
Craig, can I make note? First of all, before we start with the business at hand, or the agenda business, I need to recall in for Laserfish once because it dropped for a call-in person.
Okay.
And furthermore, I advise without this being on the agenda, because it is already a legal action with the county, to not discuss anything to do with that matter unless we have it on the agenda.
Right.
Whether even a discussion with it.
Right, that, all I was trying to do is explain what.
No, I
what
get
we
it, but
had done.
you noted about maybe discuss them at the end. I would
Oh.
advise not
Okay, no,
because of it being already a lawsuit.
right, okay, good point. It is under appeal, that's true. And we should not do anything further than explain what happened so far.
Correct.
So I'm good with that.
Okay, good, thanks.
Okay,
So when you get a sec, if we can try to call back into this before we start business, that'd be great.
okay,
Thank you.
we'll just hold off for a second now then. So, but yes, that was an excellent point I wanted to raise that we did know that is under appeal, so no further detailed discussion needs to be made, but it brings our new committee members up to speed on that action too.
Are you okay for me to try to?
Yep, I'm good.
Thank you.
I'll just speak for a minute. There won't be really anything on the agenda. Since we're talking about lawsuits, make sure you're only using your county email for county business. You will find that, we will get lots of open record requests on contentious
This
issues.
conference line is for public
They will
speaking.
be
You will be
my
muted
personal
upon entry and we
email
will
than anything
unmute your
else.
microphone when you are
Only
called
for
upon for
business.
public comment. You will be able to hear
And
the
much of
entire
it
meeting
also
while
applies
you are
to
on
cell
the call.
phones,
Thank you.
Texting.
Yes.
I guess we're new to the committee. I'm not up to speed on an issue at all. So I wouldn't mind at some point being up to speed on it.
Sure. No, we can chat, but we can't make decisions. And the other, one more thing to talk, and we're kind of on this subject, is that two of us talking about an application is technically a walking quorum. Because the committee can meet with 4 members and that would be half of the committee. So you don't discuss things, especially pertaining to a potential decision, because it could create a conflict. So, just for more, I'm not sure if you guys are signed up for that training session over in Hayward.
Yep.
We are.
You'll learn a lot there.
Right. Just make a note that we're not up to speed.
I'm good. I think I'm gonna do something and read what's going on. It's not a elected official.
Okay, we're good.
Are we good?
We can proceed. Yep.
Okay, we're back active again. So I need a motion to approve the agenda order.
Still move.
Motion by Supervisor Chuck Anderson. Second,
Second.
second by Supervisor Moyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Or is that Randy? Sorry, Supervisor Slominski. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Now, approval of the minutes of the April 2nd, 2024 meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I've got one minor modification that before we proceed, I want to call out, which is I've talked about it with Tanya. Can you in the COOP conditional use permit, we have the purpose of the CUP was for manufacturing. I think manufacturing is not what he meant. I don't know what he said.
What page are we on?
Let me find it for you quick. It's the first page, right?
Right underneath.
The second paragraph of Cody Coop would like to operate part-time gunsmithing business. CUP is to allow for manufacturing in his home. And he wasn't manufacturing anything. I don't think ammunition or assembling firearms from scratch. So, okay, and so we probably want to substitute that to like gunsmithing or another word that's more precise. And none of us can remember what he actually said or what we said. So that sound right to you, Tanya?
So gunsmithing is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It implies something that I don't think we ever discussed.
What's written on his actual conditional use permit when he filled it out?
I don't have that in front of me, but I'm pretty confident if it would have been manufacturing, we would have discussed that. You know, that like manufacturing ammunition, reloading beyond your own personal use, anything, nothing like that was talked about.
Maybe Mr. Collins.
Yeah, I can pull it up here.
And in the minutes, it also states, he stated he would just be doing general gunsmithing and threading. I mean, so that's what he stated at the meeting.
Right.
Yeah, so to operate a small gunsmithing business from my home, be able to receive the proper federal firearms license, I will need approval from the county. For these practices at my location, I did not intend to have a storefront or sell firearms and accessories to the general public for my location. So that's his narrative.
So substitute, gunsmithing, 2 words, for the word manufacturing.
Correct.
Is that amendment? Like,
A motion by Brent with minutes as amended. We have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Supervisor Chuck Anderson. All in favor? Motion carried. Okay, on to the public hearing. Jason will read the public hearing.
Notice of
Notice.
public hearing, State of Wisconsin, County of Burnett, Tuesday, May 7th, 2024 at 9 a.m. at the Burnett County Government Center, Room 160, Town of Meenan, Siren, Wisconsin, regarding the following. Burnett County Land Use Shoreline Protection Ordinances. Number one, map amendment MAP 2306 Hopkins Sand and Gravel to rezone that part of government lot 3 lying east of State Road 35, section 32, town 38 north, range 16 west, located in the town of Siren from A2 agricultural residential to I1 industrial zoning district. Zoning change requested by Rick Hopkins on behalf of Hopkins Sand and Gravel. Map amendment number 2, that is not on the agenda. The owners have rescinded or withdrawn that application.
Okay.
Number 3, map amendment MAP 2404 Lawrence to rezone the north half of the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter, section 16, town 38 north, range 14 west, located in the town of Dewey from A exclusive ag to A2 agricultural residential zoning district. Zoning change requested by Richard Lawrence Jr. Want to note conditional use permit CUP 2409 goes along with this request. Number 4, CUP 2409 Lawrence. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Dewey, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Richard Lawrence Jr. has made an application for a conditional use permit for the terms of the Burnett County Land Use Code of Ordinances to use the 2 existing turkey barns for boat storage. The 2 buildings will no longer be used for turkeys on the parcel with address 2409 Lakeview Church Road in the A2 zoning district in the north half of the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter, section 16, town 38 north, range 14 west. Note rezone request map 2404 goes along with this request.
Okay, as published, now we'll call up the rezone request 2306 for Hopkins. Okay. Well, that may take a little bit. Why don't we amend the agenda to move that one behind the rezoning request for Lawrence, and we'll proceed with that. And so we don't sit here wondering how long it will take.
No.
So, do we need a motion? I suppose it's just do it. Okay.
Should we move that after the rezone request and then the associated conditional use permit? So those 2 are together.
Yes, I think we can consider them, they're gonna be 2 separate actions, but we'll consider them at the same time. So we'll go forward with the request map 2404 first. Lawrence, are you here? I thought that looked like you. Step up and tell us what you've already written down on your application.
Well, yeah, I just looking to get my turkey barns retired now from Genio. Switched over to be able to use them for something. Don't have much other use besides hopefully boat storage. And I guess in the zoning, gotta get things, try and get things changed, and township at the time or currently doesn't have a problem with it, and so that's what we're trying to do, make
Okay.
use of some existing buildings.
That sounds fine. You're exactly why we provide that conditional use option in A2. And A, because of farmland preservation needs to be pretty tight just for ag, really. So that's why they have to change it, but it's, yeah, that's exactly what
They got the buildings set in there, they like trying to build nothing new, it's just.
No,
put 'em-
right,
Put them to
exactly.
use, you know?
And as I understand it, Genio is moving its processing out of Cameron or Barron, I mean.
Yeah, they're really, my mind, taking some backwards moves and downsizing fast and who knows?
They're too far away from where the processing plant would be practically, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, that was their original excuse. They cut 80, I think about 80 million pounds out last year. But then for me, they said, well, you're too far away from Barron for the butcher. You're outside the zone. So, yeah. And it wasn't long after that, then they come out with an announcement that they're shutting the kill floor down Barron, gonna haul everything to Faribault and Wilmer and kill it. And then all parts back, and it's like, okay, that makes sense, you know, but yeah, and they're shutting the hatcheries down there, yeah, they're,
The reason I'm even bringing it up, I don't think you're the only person that will probably come here wanting to do that.
Right.
It's not doesn't hurt us to get a little background as to why.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I've heard the rumor, it's rumor, but, you know, I've heard within 3 years, they want everything the other side of the river, so.
So,
It is what it is, you know?
yeah, well, right, but I mean, the domino effect
Right,
is, do you want to use those buildings for something? And
right.
it's a pretty good idea to use them for that. So.
Okay.
That's the background I just wanted to have you provide. So any other public hearing? Any questions by committee members? Beyond that, go ahead, Duke.
Yeah, just a thought here. It's nice to have the background on Genio and all that, but it seems to me if a person has buildings and they own the buildings, they're paying taxes on the buildings, if to have boats stored inside of them, I'd like to see what the ordinance is on why that's requiring a permit to store boats in a building you own already. So if you could show me that, that'd be great. So that's my only comment. I just want to learn about why we need that for somebody to store something inside a building they own. So.
It's a change of land use that,
Right.
and we provide for that in the ordinance. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I'd like to, just the number, page number. I can look up the ordinance, but if you point me in the right direction, that'd be great.
Go ahead.
Can I just have you state your name? So
Oh,
everybody knows who-
I forgot to have you do that. Yes,
Sorry.
Richard A. Lawrence Jr.
thank you.
You.
Yeah, I should have made you do that right away. It's first day on the new job.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, that is, because these things can sprawl into things that they aren't, so we set some conditions typically and assure that the use is compatible with adjoining uses.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I see another one we'll be talking about, we'll be storing boats outside of buildings. But when it comes to storing something inside a building somebody owns and pays taxes on, it might be a little bit of an overreach. I'd like to look at that.
Go ahead.
I don't know if it's relevant. I believe I received an email from Jason about possible needing a fire number for it. I don't know if that's something.
Right, and we do that
I
because.
mean, I got a fire number for my house and I got a fire number at the farm. It's in between. Never had one, but I can get a fire number for that. That's not a problem.
Part of the reason for that is that it's now in a 2 district that we're talking about changing. That's the conditional use portion, but you would be able to drop it down to a 10-acre parcel and sell it to somebody else. You know, not that you're going to,
Right.
but down the road. And it probably would have a separate point of contact to the driveway. With the farm, typically, you wouldn't necessarily have a public access to it off the road in a different location. But if you do, it's appropriate to have a number so that if there is a call to that spot, law enforcement knows exactly how to get there.
Right.
And the fire numbering system reduced the response time for emergencies by a factor of like 150% when we did that.
Well, if I tell them 2409, they get there, yeah, they'll see the problem otherwise.
Yeah.
Wide open.
I understand, but I mean, but
Yeah.
that's the point. And then
Yeah.
we don't pick and choose that, well, this time we don't have to do what we
Right.
rules require, and this time we do. We have a standard, and this generally is why
Yeah,
we do
and
that.
said, I don't have a problem. I mean, get a fire number for it and move on if whatever we're just saying.
Oh, understand. I mean, but it's it's good to get out the questions right up front and try to get the rationale why we do what we do.
Right.
No problem with any of that.
Yeah, response by law enforcement or ambulance or fire department or whatever, that would expedite things.
Right.
And when you have people dropping off boats, I'm guessing you don't want them driving in your driveway.
Correct.
So if you had a new address, you could say, if you want to drop off your boat, you go to this address, which will be at the driveway of your turkey barns. Otherwise, I suspect you'll have a lot of people dropping stuff in your yard at your house.
Correct.
So that would help in that.
Also
aspect.
stated, no outside storage, which I'm good with that, but when you say drop off boats, if there's a couple boats sitting out there for a day or two before they get put away, I mean, it's not.
Yes, that's fine. It's
Okay.
when they park there and the weeds are growing around
Yeah.
it because it's sitting there
Yeah.
for 6 months and
Yeah.
not being moved.
Right.
We're not gonna be chalking their tires or anything on the trailers, so. But it is to try to keep it into a controlled,
Yep,
reasonable activity,
definitely.
so. Any other committee questions or comments? With that, open a public hearing for any public participation, of which there does not appear to be any. No one is online on this matter. So if there's no further discussion, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve it.
Motion to approve the rezoning by
That
Supervisor
would
Tucker.
include the staff, recommendation. Follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements. This
Okay.
activity, there's just one item.
Yes.
Are we combining?
No, we're just on a rezoning,
Just on-
but we'll do these as two separate actions, just to be technically correct.
Did you get a second?
No, I haven't got a second yet.
I'll second it.
Motion seconded by Brent. Any
Seconded.
further discussion? The motion is to approve the rezoning, subject to whatever the three staff,
There's just one on the rezone.
will they be the same ones that are in the conditional use? No, okay.
It's just follow all local, county, state, federal requirements.
That's again, a standard boilerplate
Yep.
type of thing. Okay, I'll entertain, the motion is, can't talk. Motion's made and seconded. No further comments, roll call vote. So Supervisor, I'll start at the list, even though it's not the order we're sitting, okay? Supervisor Tucker,
Aye.
Supervisor Moyer.
Aye.
Supervisor Szymanski.
Yes.
Supervisor Blomberg.
Yeah.
Supervisor Karen Lacqua Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Chair me, I also. Motion is carried. This is the recommendation to the county board to amend the land use map. So now we'll pick up, are we back with the other person yet? I think we'll go with the conditional use because we've done all that and we'll come back to him after that. So we're now going to consider conditional use permit CUP 2409 for Mr. Lawrence to use the turkey barns as rental storage facilities. So again, step back up just for the record. You gotta do this precisely and identify yourself again.
Richard A. Lawrence Jr.
Richard Lawrence, and you went through all of the explanation for you need for this conditional use already, really. Is there anything to add that you can think of?
Oh, don't think so.
I think we've covered it pretty well already. Any further committee comments on the CUP portion of this? I think that's what Duke was really asking, but that we've got it covered. So there's no further discussion. I'd entertain a motion, and on this one, we will have
Wanna
staff
open the-
recommendations.
Want to open the public hearing real
Oops,
quick.
thank you. Open a public hearing. No one is here regarding the public hearing, so now I'll close the public hearing. I do better when we have a big contentious crowd, then I'm on top of my game better.
Careful with the-
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
We've been there.
We've been there and done that. Yes, we have. All right, the public hearing's been closed. Now I will entertain a motion by the committee in this matter.
Make a motion to approve the conditional use permit with the four staff recommendations. Separate site address to be obtained for the boat storage buildings, no outdoor storage allowed, follow all sign regulations, follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements for this activity.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Anderson with the staff recommendations attached. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Blomberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Supervisor Tucker,
Aye.
Supervisor Moyer,
Aye.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Lacqua Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Conroy, yes. Motion's carried. So as soon as the rezoning is in effect, your permit will be valid. Conditional use, that'll be in this month's.
Yeah, you don't have
Board.
to, I'll go to the county board meeting on your behalf. You don't have to be there. And it'll be
So, and
formality, it'll be approved.
in this case, because we
Yeah, then we'll send you a letter.
send you a letter and you're good to go.
Yep.
There's nothing controversial about this at all that I can see, so we should be good.
Before I get off subject, come to you, your office to get a fire number?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, all good.
I'm scrolling back, so we're returning back to the rezone request map 2306.
Can I just make a quick comment, maybe for the new members? When we have conditional uses and rezoning, I think it's protocol to reach out to the town or the village and, so their response is in there. And, they did have no objection to both of those.
Good point. I should have noted that. The town in this case would have veto authority over this zoning change, but Mr. Lawrence explained that the town was fine with it and he was right, but you don't have to talk anymore.
Yeah, so each township gets a notice, when the public hearing comes out, the town clerk and the town chairman. So we used to just do it to one and sometimes it would magically not get forwarded on or something, so now we do it to the town chairperson and the town clerk.
Question on that. So that's for the, conditional use permit. What about enforcement of ordinances? Do we also run that by town boards as well? If he falls out of compliance, is it based on a town board complaining about it or a resident complaining, or is that?
All of the above.
Okay,
And are including just staff observations driving by.
Okay.
And then the one like this, it's pretty simple, right? If there suddenly were a whole bunch of plastic tarp covered pontoons scattered about, that wouldn't be within the permit. The committee does have the authority to revoke such a permit via a public hearing, much like what we're doing today, and take evidence and to learn why. And, and it can also be enforced by citation or summons and complaint as well. All of the usual civil matters. So with that, we're ready to go on rezone 2306. The Hopkins Sand and Gravel request to rezone part, what is the legal description here? Government line 3, east of Highway 35 from A2 to industrial. So is Rick on the phone?
Yes, good morning. Hello?
Are you there, Rick?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we got him. Rick, would you run by your request? Are you there?
Yes, looking to rezone 40-acre parcel from A2 to industrial. Hello? Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hello? Hello?
Hey, Rick, this is Jason. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we're gonna proceed. We've heard enough for right now.
All right.
I'll add a little side note. This is the reason the BOA is no longer doing these meetings virtual. They made the decision that going forward, you're in person. Because of all the technical issues we've been having for the last 6 months.
Yeah, we're getting YouTube feedback.
Well, anyway, let's we've heard, I'm gonna repeat what has happened in the past. We initially have a sign issue here. We could not approve the sign in A2.
Okay,
YouTube on that.
Let's make it complicated, but that's what necessitated the rezoning to pardon? Okay, we're gonna hold off for a minute then.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, TJ.
Having a debate with ourselves. Those are usually the worst. Exactly. You can go in fun.
Yeah.
An opportunity to exercise the virtue of patience.
Yes. Actually. Recess. Brief recess, so we get this fixed. We've been anyway. Good. We had a long week. But it's successful. There's. Yeah, they don't play. It's not doing it. They didn't do it. Oh, yeah. Keep everybody on trouble. Are you? Oh, yeah. Oh, these birds. Oh, we did. COVID started. You know what the hell? Mitigate any issues. We've heard a lot. It's nice. Huh?
If the technology works, it wouldn't be a problem. And lately, it hasn't been working.
Yeah, there's always.
I think it was.
Happens as soon as it happens, it resets. So it's trying to fight through it. I could probably just coffee too. Still.
Testing. Hello?
Hello, are you able to hear us? Hear us? IT guy says that it's probably not his side. We can get this.
Because I was like, I had to. Figure it out. And.
Can you hear us, Rick?
Yes, I can.
Hello? Rick? Can you hear us, Rick?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Hello?
See, and then I had to do that.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, can you hear us? Rick?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for being patient.
Thank you, guys.
Very good experience.
Good.
Okay, we're gonna call the committee back into session. I think we've got our technical difficulties resolved enough to finish this one at least. So, Rick, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you explained that, and I started to explain before the technical difficulty came up that this is primarily initiated because of a sign that had, a permit had been issued for, had expired. You had built it, didn't realize that it expired, and it can't be in a A2 district, but it could be in an industrial district, which is not an inappropriate zone for what you have there. Is that about right?
That is correct.
Okay, so add anything further that you'd like to put into the discussion?
No, I do not.
Okay, with that, then, committee members have any questions for the applicant? This is, the two new members don't know, but this has been pending for a while. We received this 6 months ago, approximately.
This is basically a rezone due to a sign.
Yeah, primarily. You know, there are a couple of remedies. It could have amended the sign ordinance too, I suppose, but the town of Siren had to amend its comprehensive plan. And the town of Siren determined that this is not in their view, an inappropriate place to have an industrially zoned parcel. It's, you know where it is, I think, almost on the county line, east side of 35, about a quarter mile north of the old county line. So now we're proceeding with it. We could not have approved it before because it would have been contrary to the comprehensive plan. The town was not opposed, but needed to do some revisions to its plan for consistency, which we're trying to pay more attention to than we had. So if nothing further, I'll open the public hearing for any public comments that we may have. So come up and identify yourself and explain what your comments are.
Stan Bongard. My concerns are my well. I live across the street. I'm getting a lot of sediment out of my well now, since they started really going to town over there. My house has got a constant vibration shake when they're running the crushers or screeners. Stuff's sitting there just shaking all day. And just concerned on what it might cost me down the line for a well, whatever happens because of all the shaking now. This seems like they're running the pits harder than they have ever been over there.
I've
replaced, I don't know how many faucets in my house due to sand in them. It all started 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
You have any other, are you agree with?
I'm with you.
Yeah. All I can say about that is that's not directly pertaining to the change of the land use, but it's
Okay.
something to bring up. I mean, I get that.
Right, I just seen it was brought up to rezone it, and I didn't know it's time or whatever. So I figured I'd voice my opinion on it, concerns about it. Cause they're pretty deep, and I think my well is 90 feet, and they gotta be pushing 60, 70 over there. My water will get kind of weird once in a while. I don't know what pertains to what they're doing. Water runoff going into the pit, coming through. It just concerned me.
Okay, well, appreciate the comments. I think if we were approving a conditional use permit for the operation of the gravel pit, that would be something we could look at. But for this particular request,
Okay.
now, what we could do, you could do is see if there is the old original CUP, do we have one even on that?
I don't know what's my step.
I think, I don't know if you'd have to even look at it now, but we could get back to you on whether there is anything on.
99, they got a CUP to operate a gravel pit quarry. I have to look it up and see.
I don't know that we
I
need
doubt
to
there's
do,
any conditions on it, but
I don't know that we could do anything with that right now, but we can look at that. Jason could get back to you if there's anything about that within that original permit.
We bought it in 2008, so that's. when we purchased.
Yeah, it was there, it was operating, and as you said, it's operating more intensely than it had been.
Right.
But I don't know that is anything we have any particular regulation on. That's what he's looking at.
yeah, I mean, the application back then, said to crush, to crush and mine road gravel, quarry gravel pit. 99, there typically was not a lot of requirements and things back in that day. Crusher to be used less than 3 weeks per year, it says in there.
It was going all.
All summer last year. Every day, Monday through Friday, it was, the house was
sometimes
shaking. I had
Saturday,
hanging
too.
plants and they were like this. Every day, all day. Not on the weekends, of course, but Monday through Friday.
That's about all there is. Talks a little bit about slopes of the sidewalls.
And it has a non-metallic mine permit for specs on that, I would think.
Correct.
Under 135. I would say, we will. I'm gonna ask you to discuss the operations aspect with Jason to see if there's a need to revisit that. But for this request, that doesn't pertain. Okay,
Yeah, we didn't.
We could revisit the
we could.
old request if they're doing more than, there are a lot of crushing.
You're gonna wanna determine that, not right off the cuff here today, but I think we could revisit, we could look at that. And have a conversation with them and see what is the plan, the extent of activity. Could need amendment, maybe, we'll see. So with that, any further public comment by anyone else? There's no further comment, I'll close the public hearing. Open it for discussion.
I guess the question I have is if it's rezoned to industrial, is that an allowed use? And then there wouldn't be conditions on how often they could operate the crusher. I know this was mainly done, for the signage. But we also can't override what the town decides, and the town has okayed this. But I guess that's my question is if,
I think Jason can look at the ordinance quickly.
Yep, and in
It's a-
industrial, it still requires a conditional use permit for
I was gonna-
quarrying, mining.
I was gonna say, that's what I thought, but I wanted to be sure. It doesn't change the status of the conditional use. It's, it is a potential conditional use in industrial. So,
So do we have to revisit that conditional use permit, being that we're rezoning? Do they have to have a new?
No,
no,
Okay.
not for the rezoning. We can revisit the conditional use permit if we find it that it's out of compliance.
correct.
That's what we could look at. So. But again, the sign itself is innocuous as far as any of the issues the folks had. So not adding to that, it's not expanding anything about the actual use present. Any further discussion from the committee? I would add discussion myself is that we required the town to revisit its comprehensive plan in order for this to be heard. And the town did do that. So it is not we're not gonna say whether it's a great site for a gravel pit necessarily, but it's not necessarily inappropriate to be a industrially zoned parcel if the town shows that in its comprehensive plan. So even though it seems like extreme to rezone and provide for a sign, but that's the rules pertaining to billboards, even under the state rules, not just county. So that's why we're making this decision today. If there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning with the conditions of the staff report.
And let's read them. I'm spinning my way to them.
It was only one. It was only one. Was
Follow all local county,
local
state, and
counties.
federal requirements.
Yep, that's it.
Somebody do it. I just accidentally hit a wrong button and I completely
follow
off.
all local, county, state and federal requirements for this activity.
Okay, we have that added to the motion.
Yes.
Do I have a second? Second by Supervisor Szymanski.
And then it can be noted that this is also a recommendation of county board.
Correct. This is a recommendation to provide the rezoning. And
And it was recommended that the town of Siren already has recommended it.
Right, yeah, we noted that regarding the comp plan and the several months delay that we took before we brought this back up. So with that,
And just one other comment, and I know this is covered by, you know, the one condition. But I believe they still have to get their sign into compliance for what the DOT requires.
Yeah, I don't know specifically about DOT, but it doesn't meet our ordinance.
Your ordinance, okay,
Yep.
so I mean, there'll still be some changes there, but
Yes.
that's covered by that
yeah,
condition.
this will provide for a sign
Yes.
to be there.
Yeah.
So. Okay, with no further discussion, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Supervisor Tucker,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Aye.
Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
I miss Supervisor Samansky,
Yeah.
Supervisor Karen Lockwell Anderson,
Yes,
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Conroy, yes. Motion is carried. It was, we referred to county board for adoption recommendation. So moving on in the agenda, we have a certified survey map approval for Mauer. Mark Krause's here for that.
You have pictures on here. Thank you. Copies
They
of-
should have it all, stick in their iPad.
Otherwise, there's copies if they want.
I don't know what I did, but I zoomed out to a map of the United States somehow. No idea how that happened.
This is basically just a formality. Here's basically what we have is right here. We got 3 lots that we're creating. What happened is the blue lot was the old plat from 1917. And we're changing the exterior boundary of the plat by adding additional lands here. Even though these lands here were added 25 years ago, we added the orange piece here to the other piece in the bottom, and so technically we're changing the exterior boundary of plat. The original plat had county and town approval, so we have to get to county and town approval for this. So it's basically a formality. We're combining parcels together. They're all existing parcels. No new lots are being created, so. Good question.
We've had this happen before.
Mhm.
So,
Kind of busy, messy area, busy on the lake shore, bigger parcels in the back. This is between the Oakton Park plat lots. We're only about 200 feet deep. It's about 1,000 feet back to the Clam Lake Drive on the back. So it's a lot of additional land that's in the backside there between there and the town road. And the road in the front was never built. There's a driveway there, but that's about it.
yeah, that's a fairly common scenario where the development is really old. All you can do is work with what you've got.
And most of the area in the front is actually floodplain, and all the septics go in the back because that's the only place they can put a mountain system in the back. So it's actually good to have them combined.
Any further questions by the committee? And then this is because it doesn't fall within the precise subdivision ordinance, we do the committee review, or is it because of the plat amendment?
Because of the plat issue.
Plat issue, okay. So, because it's technically approving a replat, right, more or less,
Technically, yes.
so. Any further questions on the committee? Entertain a motion,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the certified survey map as so stated.
motion to approve by Supervisor Blomberg, second.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Szymanski. All in favor?
Aye.
I didn't think this needed a roll call vote, so.
And I need Chuck's the secretary, is that correct?
Yeah.
You have the name of who was gonna be what at the time when we made this.
You get an autograph right away, first
Yep.
day.
Chuck gets to sign
And we're to hold you to it. Thank you.
All right, on to the agenda to discuss potential livestock management regulation resolution. The reason for this, and I will try to explain this as quickly as I can, is in the last legislative section, there was a Senate Bill 892 and a accompanying House bill pertaining to animal management. And I got concerned when through Bayfield County, actually, found there was language in that bill that would have affected the regulations we have already adopted regarding animal units and management of livestock within zoning districts. It appeared that it would potentially challenge the regulations we have adopted about capping animal units except in the highly valuable A district. The A2 district we have is a kind of a semi-mixed use district. There's a lot of other lower scale development, 10-acre minimum density, and a lot of really fragilely highly permeable soils that are not really good for really large animal unit size operations. Long story short, that bill we thought wasn't going to go anywhere, but the Senate suspended its public hearing requirement and deferred to the House. The House adopted it, sent it to the governor vetoed it. The Wisconsin Counties Association did manage to get amendments to the bill that would have exempted zoning ordinances. So we weren't as afraid of it as it was coming through as amended, but when it was vetoed, should it reappear, we wanted to be in a position to be able to draft a resolution without necessarily going through the committee first, to be prepared to submit a resolution in opposition should it come back in the form that originally was introduced. That would preempt local zoning authority. So that's why we have this for you folks to have read. And all I'm asking for, I think, is a motion to allow staff to draft a resolution for county board should the basic equivalent of a Senate Bill 892 be reintroduced. Probably won't happen this year at all. But it could, you never know. And might be not till the next legislative session. And then hopefully we would have time to bring such a resolution to the committee for approval. But we want to be ahead of the curve instead of behind it, I think. So that is the purpose of this discussion today. So any questions by the committee?
Is there any reason not to adopt the resolution, or this is just gonna be waiting in the wings?
We're not adopting this resolution, but the resolution we would draft would be pretty similar to this, just modified Burnett County. The issues shown in the resolution were similar to our concerns when we went through our work on our both land use ordinance and siting and management ordinances that are through the Natural Resources Committee's purview. But yeah, it's a significant issue of concern that we not lose the authority to do the most we can do locally. Awful lot of livestock regulations already preempt local control. Livestock siting to state level, we can't be more restrictive than they can. We can enforce their standards, but we can't be stricter than the state. And this law would have actually removed some of the local authority we have if it had been approved as originally introduced. That's the concern. If it comes back, what will it look like?
I'd like to make a motion to, authorize staff to draft a resolution according to these guidelines.
Okay, the motion by Supervisor Karen Anderson, a second by Supervisor Blumberg. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I've got a point there. I follow Senate Bill 892 pretty closely. And the county's concerns are not just about animals, correct?
No.
Groundwater quality,
That's the
that
real
sort of
issue.
things.
Yes.
I'd be supportive of this motion if we also included in there the county taking a supportive approach to all groundwater quality, not just due to CAFOs.
Well, we keep in mind, we are, I think, trying to do that. But the regulation specifically in the land use ordinance pertaining to citing a CAFO, for example, in highly permeable sandy soil like where you are, where it's not very far to groundwater, was a concern, and that's why we tried to cap animal units. It's a very narrow niche of the whole thing. But that's what this particular one would address. We also have one coming to natural resources on Thursday. That's the overall big picture of CAPOS that is simply lobbying the Wisconsin Counties Association to take a more proactive role in protecting and enhancing local control. Okay, that's a separate issue, but that's the siting and operations and all that stuff. This was at this committee simply because it potentially preempted a portion of our zoning ordinance. So, it's not, all of this thing is a piece of the puzzle, but this is one piece of the puzzle.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, this is closely related to the CAFO issue in Trade Lake, I'm assuming. I grew up in that area. I used to farm the fields where that CAFO would go. I will tell you the runoff in that area will run towards Fish Lake Wildlife Area, which is a very sandy soil area, which will affect people's groundwater quality that they drink the water.
Exactly.
So I'm supportive of this, but let's not just make it about CAFO groundwater and CAFO and livestock and local
No,
control.
we're not, though. I mean, it's not the
Okay.
only thing we're doing.
Gotcha.
It's just one thing we're doing.
Yep.
So, but I appreciate the question, because the more clarity we can produce, we sometimes tend to think, well, everybody already knows what we did, and that's not always true. So, any further discussion? This is, again, doesn't require a road call. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion's carried. On to the land services reports.
All right, so the various reports are in there, staff reports, talk about what they're been doing for the last few months. Budget report is in there. You'll see, there's nothing out of line. It's been a busy spring already when you look at the, revenue compared to last year at this point in time.
Really never had a winter. Never
No, they
had.
were putting sewers in all winter long, which is the first time that's happened. So, the zoning report is in there, number of permits year to date, sewers, all those statistics are in there for you. Been busy, that's all I can say.
Now, the question will become if there is a slowdown or not,
We're wondering,
because sometimes there's a bit of a slump in midsummer as people finish projects and haven't started new ones, but they're way ahead.
well, we're kind of wondering, there can't be that many builders around here to do all the projects that are coming through, so, eventually it's gonna have to slow down, we're thinking.
Either that or we'll be
So-
getting builders from help. And those, that's sometimes the problem, if people that don't understand that there are, Wisconsin rules are different than Minnesota rules, for
Correct.
example.
Yep.
Okay, future agenda items. I think we covered the one with this potential resolution. That could be, if it becomes necessary, that could be something we throw on, but don't see it happening anytime in the next month or two. Anything further?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a future agenda or if we can talk about it today, but Jason brought up the fact that the Board of Adjustment no longer allows people to attend online. I think that's a great idea for us as well. Every time we have an issue, it's with the online system. So whether we put that down as a discussion item for next time or.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's add just a discussion of status of the technology. If it's still flaky, we may want to make that as a policy. That's what it would be. It wouldn't be an ordinance amendment. But we aren't going to do that unless it's on the agenda to talk about.
Yeah, and we're not required to do the online stuff at all, started with COVID when that all
Right.
happened and to have people participate virtually. And I think when it's working good, it is very nice. You don't have to drive. If you're from the cities, you don't have to drive 2 hours. You can participate anywhere from the world. But when it doesn't work, yeah, it's very frustrating.
You know, in some ways, we muddled through during COVID with less technology and managed to make it work. We never
Yes.
had any challenges of any of the decisions we made in COVID over how we handled it, which was really good. But, now this wasn't gonna work today, that was for sure.
One comment, because that's kind of the industry I work in. Yeah, online, I don't see a need for it, but when it comes to having like a speakerphone here, a good quality conference phone, that's not like an online thing. We still should have the ability to have somebody call in like Rick did and take part in a meeting just via phone.
We did a ton of meetings on Zoom during pandemic, like, but usually from home and seemed like that worked, but, I'm thinking land and water board and that kind of thing, but, yeah, today, but when we were arguing with ourselves almost, it was not good. So we'll have to continue, but with that, if there's anything else to do, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I guess, one thing, just I think a discussion point is, earlier when Craig was talking about, how little it takes to have a walking forum and, just wanting information about, what's going on with, previous, CUPs or if they're being challenged. I think you would probably be the person that we could go to ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Good point. Jason, you can talk to all you want. There's nobody elected him.
I just want to make a comment. Land use committee, very, very important. I mean, we don't want our county looking trashy. We want things taken care of and septic's working and so on and so forth. But one of the things I'm going to point out is as I was out getting nomination papers signed, people that wanted to talk and I'd ask them if they had any county concerns. I did hear a lot of concerns about ordinance violations and enforcement, those sort of things. So I'll be looking at those things pretty closely. So just a comment there.
No, we do too, but we will, if you ever have one you want to put on the agenda, let me know. We're not gonna keep things off the agenda. But we have to be really careful about talking about things that aren't on the agenda. Because if we appear to make a decision, then that could be contested.
Yeah, understood.
So just have to be, cautious and
Yeah.
better to be overcautious than not cautious enough.
Yeah, we have great staff here at the county and they're just carrying out our wishes, but we got to remember that we do answer to the people that elected us.
Yeah.
When we hear about issues, we're not doing our job if we don't address them so that staff has appropriate means to carry out what the public's wishes are.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, if nothing further, then
And my door is always open. If you hear things, feel free to come and talk to me. I can always try to explain why we are or are not doing certain things. There's usually always some reason or logic to what we're thinking.
Yeah, I have to assume our staff acts within what our ordinances are and what their abilities are. I mean, I'm not gonna go and talk to Jason about enforcement actions. That's what we do here as far as setting ordinances for him to follow and make sure they're enforced. So I mean, I'm not gonna try to step around what our procedure should really be.
no, it's good to know. But with that, I got a motion to adjourn. Any? And I guess I don't technically need one to adjourn, but a second,
Second, if we're out of agenda items, we're.
we're adjourned. Good enough. You're done.
I
One way or
don't,
the other.
don't run off, everybody. We gotta sign the resolution.
Supervisor Peterson just adjourned. So maybe I'll
These
take up
are
that.
two resolutions for the rezone that we just, the two that we did today, so.
With all the technical.
Goes to county board. Yeah, I light the way on that one.
Good.